You most likely have horribly low testosterone levels if you're fat. And there's a reason why this dude's test levels were in the 70s and mine are in the 800s. In this video, we're gonna figure out if you have low test, should you get tested, why being obese causes fat gain, and even better, what can you do about it? So first of all, there's only one way to figure out if you have clinical low testosterone, and that's through blood testing. The blood tests are usually done in the morning because your testosterone levels will fluctuate throughout the day, but usually around that 8 to 9 a.m. is usually when you'll have your higher levels. So before we get into the symptoms, let's figure out why obesity and low testosterone fuel each other. So obesity will cause low testosterone, and that's because of something that's called aromatization, which means that your body is actively transforming testosterone into estrogen. Pretty simple, right? You're still with me? Okay. Number two, it's really a two-way street where obesity will cause low testosterone will also cause faster weight gain. And that's because that testosterone will stop or slow the development, or more importantly, the growth of these fat cells. So if you have less testosterone, you're gonna have a faster increase of fat cell development or growth. Pretty simple, right? Yeah, okay. I think you're still with me. And then for number three, and this is the important one, low testosterone will lower your metabolic rate. More energy will be made available to be stored as fat. And because that this energy is being used here instead of during your normal daily activities, you will feel more fatigued and even in some cases mimic depression. And that's why it's harder to get out of bed or do very simple things like going for a walk or going to the gym. And that's why it's probably much easier to get your skinny friend to go for a walk with you than it is your fat friend. I can attest to that. And now that we understand why these two subjects really go hand in hand, let's go into the symptoms. Now, the big ones are low sex drive, fatigue, reduced lean mass, irritability, erectile dysfunction, and depression. Now go ahead and ask literally any morbidly obese person if they've experienced these. I can almost guarantee the answer is yes to most of them. So, does this mean you should be on TRT? The answer is probably not yet. The issue with TRT is that you always have the potential of when you start, you may not be able to come off. So trying to increase your testosterone levels naturally before going the exogenous route is almost always the correct route to approach this. So then, what are the ways to increase your natural test levels? Well, eating the right nutrients. So staying away from those processed foods and having a steady diet that works for you. And then there are some medication, not testosterone yet, that doctors can give you to actually control that estrogen to testosterone ratio to control it a little bit better. Another one is your deep sleep. Most of the main hormone production in your body happens during your deep sleep phase cycle. And this is, well, testosterone included. So figure out a way to improve those deep sleep scores. Maybe by darkening your room, some melatonin, shutting off all the lights, no blue light exposure before going to bed. And then another big one is stress control. Stress will increase your cortisol level, which will stimulate your adrenal gland, which can cause testosterone leakage. So get rid of that toxicity in your life. And of course, a tried and true way to definitely increase your testosterone is weight training, because an increase in muscle mass will directly impact an increase in testosterone production. So if you go get your blood checked again, your testosterone levels are really low, your estrogen levels are really high, you just cannot seem to lose weight for the life of you, then it might be time to consider TRT. Now, of course, I'm not a doctor, this is not medical advice, and you should obviously be talking to your own doctor about this before I even continue talking in this video. But the caveat is that the fatter you are, the more your body will be transitioning that testosterone into estrogen. So not only will doctors probably have to give you some sort of medication to control that aromatization, but they might be reluctant to give you testosterone because that could just screw up your hormones even more if you're not using it correctly. Now, I can't speak to other health services because I've only worked with one. Now, the company that you've probably heard me talk about a million times before about is Transcend. They do my TRT. So you would do your blood testing and then you would see if you're eligible for testosterone replacement therapy. And then you'll get your first dosage that your doctor will assess will be correct for you. And after you're done your first batch of testosterone, within 90 to 120 days, you'll go get tested again to see how your body reacted to it. And depending on how those results go, then they'll either increase or decrease your dosage. Mine was actually decreased after my first time. And then you can wait for 6 to 12 months to go get tested again to see if your body is still reacting correctly. My TRT started at 250 milligrams per week, and my testosterone levels shot to the roof, and I think I tested at 1,016. And then after lowering my dose to 200, I was now in the low 800s. But see, I lived with low testosterone for 8 years, and it got bad. From the depression to the super fast weight gain, it honestly just seemed like there was no way out. And it was actually during a trip to Colombia, of all places, where I decided to finally get my blood checked, because in Canada it's incredibly hard to do so. In Colombia it cost me a few dollars. And that's where I found out that my testosterone levels were in the 70s. And I know that this subject is super taboo because we all seem to know someone at our gym that's taking a TRT dose of 500 milligrams, but that's not TRT, that is just drug abuse. And that's where it gets a bad rap. But for most people that actually need it, the easiest way to explain it is that it gave me the will to live again. I had the energy to get out of bed and go to the gym. And not only did I actually have the energy, I actively wanted to do more things. It really is like adding color to a black and white picture, going from existing to living. So if there's absolutely anything that I can leave you with here today, is that you should always know what's going on with your body, and that you should always be your own advocate, because something as simple as hormone regulation could mean the difference between the demons in your head winning and playing 14 hours of video games every day versus seizing your own life and dropping 150 pounds in a year.